This is going to be a comparison between two gas fuel stoves. The first one is the Coleman Dual Fuel 533, and the second one is a Taruor. Can't see the part number, but at any rate, these are the two stoves that we're going to be looking at. Just for some reference, the Coleman stove, the Coleman Dual Fuel, is $95 on Amazon, and the Taruor, I don't know how you pronounce that correctly, is $38 on Amazon. For particular fuel options that are available, the Coleman Dual Stove can use either any type of white gas or premium unleaded fuel. The Taruor can use either the white gas or premium unleaded fuel, but it can also use a different nozzle to run diesel fuel or just pure alcohol. So in the box, the Coleman comes with a stove. It comes with a fuel filter that's got a fuel nozzle that's got a little filter inside of it that comes in a bag and a set of directions. In the Taruor, it comes with the stove, a small fuel funnel for filling it up, a storage bag, but it also comes with 3 nozzles. One is already equipped for the gas, for either the white gas or the regular unleaded premium fuel, or another one for diesel, and another one for the alcohol, and they're labeled as to which is which. And then it comes with the appropriate tool for swapping those particular nozzles out, should you want to use a different type of fuel. A couple of differences to note. This is the control. This is the flame control valve for the Coleman. It's got a nice little handle on it, and you just flip it up or down. So off, middle, and super high. The way that the Taruor works is it's got this spinning knob, and you grab this handle and you just spin it, and so you spin it open or closed. The other thing that Taruor has is these, what I think are great, retractable serrated stabilizers, so that when you put a pot on them, you've got a little more space for stability. So depending on the size of the pot and what it is that you're working on them, it's got these nice little fold away stabilizers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to light each one of them and show you how it works. So I've already filled them up with just a bit of the Coleman white gas. Then I'm going to move these filters, which have got fuel on them, and the fuel away from them. Notice that I've got a fire extinguisher, and I'm working in an open garage because these things will produce carbon monoxide, and you don't want to use them in a closed space. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move all this stuff away too because I don't need it. First thing I'm going to do is light the Coleman. And the lighting procedure is somewhat similar but somewhat different. So the first thing that you do is, once they're full, on the Coleman, you spin open the pump valve to the left, and there's a hole on the bottom, and you cover that up with your thumb, and you want to give it about 30 pumps. All right, so maybe a little bit more. I'm in Colorado Springs, so I'm kind of at about, a little 6,500, 7,000 feet. So I'm giving it plenty of pumps, and then I'm going to close the valve. And then what I'm going to do is get my spark going, and I'm going to open this to full. And what that's going to start doing, and that's got actually really good pressure early on, it's going to start to go through the process of heating up this tube that goes across the top of the flame, which is called an igniter. And the igniter, once it gets really hot, it turns all the fuel into vapor, which is then what burns fast. So for the first start of starting any of these stoves, once you get them started, you're going to get a lot of this big yellow flame, and that's a normal part of the starting process. There's nothing funky about that. Sometimes they recommend that after you've got it going, you open it back up and you give it another 30 pumps. I don't always think this helps and is necessary, but that's what the instruction manual says. And now you just kind of sit there and wait, and then at some point all of that yellow flame is going to go away, and you're going to get nothing but a good blue flame that just makes an excellent sound. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the lights for a second so you can kind of see what's going on there. And so you can see at this point we've got the yellow and large white flame, but then eventually, once that ignition tube heats up, the gas that's going, the fuel that's going through it that's under pressure will vaporize even more and just turn into nothing but a nice blue under pressure flame. So we'll just let that go for a minute, and wait for it to happen. I guess in theory you could actually start cooking on it now, but I like to wait until it gets up to temperature. And the speed at which that it will start and the efficiency depends on the temperature outside. So if the temperature outside is really warm, it'll do it faster. If the temperature is what it is around here, which right now, if we look at the surface temperature, it's like 71 degrees on that little table, 72. Take a little longer. If it's really cold outside, super cold outside, you can get gel that you put on the ignition tube, and you just put it on. It's a gel, and it lights up, and then you let it run on the ignition tube for a couple of minutes to really superheat it up quick, and then you go through your normal starting process. And this always takes longer than I like or expect. Like, wait, do I need to pump it more? But really, the pumping is not what creates the good pressure. It's the heating up of the ignition tube that vaporizes the fuel that creates the great flame. Alright, you can see that the yellow flame is starting to dissipate. We've got a little bit of a breeze coming into the garage, which is good because I don't want to get CO2'd out. While we're waiting, the Coleman comes with this attached tag, which is a gentle, well, non-gentle reminder. Don't use this inside. Don't use it in a tent. Don't use it in a trailer. Don't use it inside the house, because it can produce carbon monoxide and it can kill you. So, like I said, I'm working in a a garage. Both doors are open, and just because I got a fire extinguisher just in case. Just because I'm impatient, I'm going to go ahead and give it a couple more pumps. Once again, your fingers over the hole. I really don't think it helps. I think it's all about that ignition tube lighting up. Oh, and if you gas stove experts are out there and watching this and going, he's doing it wrong, please comment. Boring. Go ahead and pause until it gets there so we can see what it's supposed to look like. Okay, that's looking pretty good. That was a couple of minutes. I did give it another probably 30 or 40 pumps, but that's looking pretty good. That's a good sharp flame. I know that if you let it run a little longer, almost all of that visible flame will completely go away, and it'll just be nothing but the blue flame. And maybe we can see that when we go into the pot boiling test. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and shut this one off. And so you just turn your control knob off, and this one goes off pretty quickly and effectively. It's going to be wicked, wicked hot. And that's the Coleman. Dual fuel 533 using white gas. So now we're gonna do the same for the power arc. And this one's a little different. It definitely produces a lot more flame, but it's a similar process. So this one, once again, there's no on or off. There's no on or off on the valve. So there's no turning it left, turning it right, and there's no button, or there's no hole in the button. So you just pump it. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a good 30 or 40 pumps. All right. So then, similar process, but this is a little different in that we're going to turn it on, and this one it pushes a little flame down into the bottom of the bowl here, which then will saturate this piece of, it's not asbestos, but it's some heat shield stuff, and the flame will get on that, and that flame is going to light and be used to heat up the ignition tube. And while it's doing that, we're actually going to turn the stove off. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the stove on. Make sure my spark's working. That's probably enough to get it started. So I'm going to turn it on. And it's going to start pushing gas. And you can actually see it bubbling in there. And I've got plenty. So now I'm just going to turn it off. And I'm going to let the fuel that came out burn and heat up the ignition tube. And you can see that's a significantly bigger flame than what was coming out of the Coleman. Turn off the light so you can see it. Quite the campfire, but it's definitely a lot more than the Coleman. And right now the gas is completely off. So this is gas that was put into the chamber while it was on for just a couple of few seconds. And then we're just going to kind of let that burn down and heat up that ignition tube. And the little bit that's in there, it's actually starting to give me a hiss of some good pressurized activity. So it's kind of starting to get wimpy. And this is just, you learn. So I'm gonna bring it up now. It's going to do the same thing. It's going to take a little while for it to heat up until it gets this great blue flame. And there you go. That thing is cranking. Turn off the light real quick. And you can see that the center ring where the unit is just burning absolutely red hot. And this is on max. It's adjustable. So you can take it down to a simmer if you want. Should have showed you that on the Coleman too. The Coleman, this has got a better simmer than the Coleman does though. But as you can hear, it's loud. It's a loud stove. If you're getting up in the morning, early in the morning to make coffee for you and your buddies, they'll hear it probably. So anyways, that's the lighting procedure, and to turn it off you do the same thing, you just turn it all the way around. So now what I want to do is a water boil test, and since this one is lit, we're going to start with it. So I'm just using this little, I don't know how much volume of water that is. And if you take a look, the water's at 62 degrees. And we're just going to put it on here. And once again, I love these feet to make it a bigger surface to stabilize. I'm going to start my timer. Start my stopwatch, and then we'll come back when this is at a rolling boil to see how long this takes to boil that pot of water. Okay, so now we've got a really good rolling boil on that, and our time there is, can you read that? Oh, I guess you can't. Anyways, it's 12 minutes and 41 seconds. So 12 minutes and 41 seconds for a rolling boil on the Taruor stove. So now I'm gonna shut her down. I'm gonna empty out the thing, put it under cold water so it's at the same temperature, light the Coleman, and we'll come back and start that one. Okay, so we've got the Coleman lit. I think that's as good a burn as it's going to get. Nothing but blue flame. That's on high. You can hear it's much quieter than the Taruor. The pan's got the same volume of water in it, and it's sitting at the same temperature as the other one did. And so we're going to start this one and see how long it takes. Start my timer. And away we go. We'll be back when this is at a rolling boil like the other one was. Okay, so this one was so quiet that I might have missed it, but this one took just about 8 minutes, maybe a little over 8 minutes to get to the boil. So quite a bit faster than the Taruor. Not as easy to light, much quieter, and it clearly produces a lot more heat and will boil that water much quicker. So anyways, that's my comparison of the two. You can decide what you like and what you don't. Big price difference, bit difference in the way it works. The Coleman clearly burns hotter. So enjoy your camping.